So it's February 1st, and it's Black History Month. And as much as I don't think we should have a month dedicated to history based on race, I get it. I understand. Now, for many years, we ignored history of some great Americans simply because of the color of their skin, simply because they were black. We ignored them. So, as we open up February and Black History Month, I would like to highlight somebody who not only was a great American, but a person I met. His name is Benjamin O. Davis, General Benjamin O. Davis Jr., to be exact. Uh, Born in Washington, D.C., to Eleonora and Benjamin O. Davis Sr., makes sense. And his father has an impressive record himself, and I'll get to that later in the week. But Ben Davis Jr. would first attend the University of Chicago, and then he entered. Then he would enter the United States Military Academy, also known as West Point, and he would be sponsored. You have to be sponsored to be in the military academies, and he would be sponsored by a Chicago Republican. That's how long ago this was. In 1932, he'd be sponsored by a Chicago Republican. This is probably the last time they had a Republican in Chicago, and his name was Oscar DePriest, and he was the only black representative in the House of Representatives at the time. So in 1932, he gets accepted to West Point, and Ben Davis would pack up his bag and go to New York and become Cadet Benjamin O. Davis Jr., the first black member of West Point of the 20th century. It's 1932, a third of the way through the 20th century. And he's the first black member of West Point. And he's only the fourth black cadet in the history of West Point. So, as you can imagine, when Benjamin Davis gets to West Point, he receives a warm welcome. No, he doesn't. No, he does not receive a warm welcome. He's ostracized. He's ignored. They don't even acknowledge his presence. No one would eat with him. No one would even talk to him. I'm pretty sure they were called him some names. And oh, by the way, he didn't have a roommate. You could actually say that he had private accommodations, but no, he was not well liked. He was, you can imagine some of the stuff he went through. He met real racism at West Point, not the, you don't like my hairdo, so I'm going to write a law about my hairdo racism. He met some, hardcore racists. He did. It's 1932. Let's not play games. So what did he do? What did he do? Did he quit? Did he go to the commandant? No, because the commandant didn't want to talk to him either. No, you know what he did? He became harder, more focused. He endured. He continued on. He focused on his goal and he achieved it. He was so good, matter of fact, it's amazing. I mean, I can't even imagine the race, the hatred he got. You can't even imagine it. So upon graduating, the cadets who once rejected him, once wouldn't even talk to him, they wrote this in the yearbook. about Ben Davis. The courage, tenacity, this is a quote, I'm quoting, from the yearbook, 1936. The courage, tenacity, and intelligence with which Benjamin Davis conquered a problem incomparably more difficult than being a plebe that the plebe year won for him, meaning, being a plebe at West Point and being hip with all that racism. I continue. And the sincere admiration of his classmates and his single-minded determination to continue in his chosen career cannot fail to inspire the respect wherever fortune may lead him. That's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive to go from just sheer hatred to have that written in your yearbook. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So that's how impressive of a gentleman this guy was. So in 1936, he would be commissioned as a first lieutenant in the Army, and he would become only one of two black officers in the U.S. Army who wasn't a chaplain. There were other black officers, but they're all chaplains. I think there was only 2 or 3 of them. So he's only one of two black officers that are soldiers, and the other one is his father. It's his father, Colonel Benjamin O. Davis Sr. Told you he was impressive. I can't even imagine an army, the United States Army, with only two black guys in it. I mean, and they all have this, and they both have the same name. So, if you were looking, if you were like some schmo soldier, some sergeant. Yes, sergeant, you have to go see the black officer. Which one? Junior, of course. Senior's much too busy. There's two. There's two black guys in the Army. Officers, anyway. I mean, jeez. Wow. So, as mentioned above, fortune would take Lieutenant Davis to the all-black 24th Infantry Regiment, one of the original Buffalo Soldier regiments, at Fort Benning, Georgia, where he would make many friends at the Officers Club. No, he wouldn't. Just kidding. He wasn't even allowed in the Officers Club. He's seen this movie somewhere before. You know what I mean? So, what did he do? What do you think? I mean, we're talking about, post-World War I Army, where Woodrow Wilson doubled down on the segregation of the military. And it wasn't really that good before. He resegregated the military, which was, it didn't have a good record prior. So it wasn't great to begin with. So you're talking about an army with two black officers in it. So what did he do? What did he do at Fort Benning? Well, he attends the infantry school at Fort Benning, one of the best. That's what he did. After infantry school, the Army sort of had a problem. Now they had a black infantry lieutenant. What were they going to do? Well, they sent him to Tuskegee University to teach military tactics. Why? Well, he was a black guy, and they had this problem. They didn't want a black officer in command of white soldiers. So that's the era we're talking about. That's some crazy stuff. That's real racism right there. But what did he do? Again? So Lieutenant Davis takes this assignment. He goes to Tuskegee, and he excels, just like he did at West Point, because of course he did. What else would he do? So he excels there at Tuskegee, and then World War II breaks out, and the U.S. is hard up for fighting men. Remember, we drew down after World War One. Excuse me, coffee. We drew down to hardly anything. We didn't have an army. We didn't have a navy. We didn't have a whole lot. I think we had a navy, but we didn't have many army. Many fighting men. We didn't have. So they're in a pickle. So the other black officer in the army, ironically also named Benjamin Davis. Dad. Holy criminy. He pressures FDR to create the first Black Army Air Corps flying squadron. This is something that the junior Ben, we can just call him junior and senior at this point. There's only two. So Junior wanted to do this his junior year at West Point, but they wouldn't let him. They didn't think that black people could fly, apparently. So, this isn't DEI, man. This is not DEI. This was only two. So Dad pressures FDR to create the first Black Army Air Corps flying squadron. There's a great movie. It's called Red Tails, and it's about the squadron. And I know it's Hollywood movie, yada yada yada, but it's a great movie, and there's a lot of truth to it, especially about the racism that these guys met. And I highly recommend it. So if you can get to see Red Tails, do so. Anyway, so the Tuskegee Airmen, as they would come to be known, the Red Tails, were an amazing bunch of pilots. They would go on to become one of the most lethal air units in World War II. I'll read some stats in a little bit. The Germans did not like running into the Red Tails. They didn't. And Lieutenant Davis, Jr., I'm just going to call him Junior at this point, Junior would become a lieutenant colonel and lead both the 99th Fighter Squadron at first, and then later he would lead the 332nd Fighter Group. Squadrons are smaller than groups. Groups are larger. As a full bird colonel. So he was made a lieutenant colonel right away, and got the Red Tails up and running, and got them qualified to ship overseas. And it's really an impressive record, really is. So as a colonel, listen to this. Davis would lead the 332nd Squadron on combat missions in North Africa, Sicily, and Europe during World War II, executing over 1,500 missions and 15,000 sorties. That means when an aircraft goes out and comes back as a sortie. As bomber escorts, strafing, and patrol missions. Renowned for escorting the heavy 15th Air Force B-17 and B-24 bombers, they destroyed more than 409 German planes, over 950 ground units, and sank 40 ships as a 332nd. That is incredible. They were a great group of pilots, and not to be outdone. I mean, he's being the overachiever that he is. Towards the end of the war, he leads the 332nd Fighter Group on a mission over Munich, Germany in March of 1945. And they shoot down, not him, but his group shoots down 3 Messerschmitts Me-262 jet fighters. Those were the only jets in the air at the time. They were Germany's secret weapon. They were the first jet airplane, and they were quick, man. They took everybody by surprise. And you have to remember, with this record, that during the first years of the Red Tails, They got the hand-me-down aircraft. They didn't get the up-to-date, new aircraft. They got the P-40s, P-39s, P-47s. They didn't really get. I mean, they didn't get the. They finally got the P-51 Mustang towards later in the war. So they're doing all this with, secondhand aircraft. It's pretty amazing. So after the war, Colonel Benjamin Davis Jr., Colonel now, comes home to a hero's welcome. No, he didn't. It's the 1940s, you idiot. What are you thinking about? But in 1948, 3 years after the war, 3 years, President Truman signs Executive Order 9981, ordering the racial integration of the armed forces. Later on, President Eisenhower in the 50s would use his authority as Singh, his commander-in-chief, to end segregation and eliminate all black units. You couldn't have a black and white units. No more. It was Truman who signed the executive order, and it was Ike who put teeth to it. So it wasn't until the 50s, think about this, that the Air Force was 1947, that the military wasn't completely desegregated. None of that, all that nonsense went away. I mean, But, for Colonel Benjamin Davis Jr., after this, everything went swimmingly. No, it didn't. he still ran into the same racist stuff that he did during, not as bad. I mean, at this point he's a colonel, so he's proven he has the cojones. And you're not a DEI colonel in the military, in the Air Force, with wings. You've proven yourself. So, even with this though, even with the coded stuff and all the other crap that they went through, Davis did some amazing things. This is real. I didn't know this. I probably read it long ago, but I just forgot it. He was part of the group that created the Air Force Thunderbirds. Isn't that great? That's insane. And then he saw combat again in 1953 when he assumed command of the 51st Fighter Interceptor Wing and flew F-86 Sabres. Those are great aircraft, by the way. In Korea, he fought in the Korea War. So I'm wearing this shirt, my 147th Attack Wing, my Tactical Air Command wing, just for him, because he was a tactical guy. He was a fighter combat guy. But he doesn't stop there. He goes on to serve as Director of Operations and Training in the Far East Air Forces, headquartered in Tokyo. And he assumes Vice Commander of the 13th Air Force. That's impressive. And then he's a commander of the Air Task Force. There's still stuff going on there between countries. Of the 13th Provisional Taipei Taiwan Force during his time in Tokyo. So he's back into, this is 55, he's back into some skirmishes, I guess you'd say. And then later he would create something what was called for 70 years the Davis Line, named after him. And this is a line between China and Taiwan. And that line created zones of operations between China and Taiwan. And this line remained in effect until 2020, like 70 years. For 7 decades, they observed the Davis Line. And then China right now keeps crossing it. So in 2020, they kept crossing it and stuff, so they erased it sort of. But for 7 decades, it served as peaceful zones between the two countries. So in April 1957, they switch him over to Europe, and he arrives at the Ramstein Air Base in West Germany as Chief of Staff of the 12th Air Force. So what do? They move the 12th Air Force. I'm just kidding. They transferred that to some base in Texas for some reason. And but he goes and he gets his new duties. Listen to this: as Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, Headquarters USAFE, which is the entire United States Air Force Europe. So he's over that. He's a deputy chief. He was at that point he became a brigadier general. So now he's General Davis, Benjamin O. Davis Jr. The second one, because his dad was also a general. I'll get to that again later on. In July of '61, he returns to the United States and he goes to headquarters U.S. Air Force, where he serves as director of manpower and organization, which is that's not a made up that's an important spot, very important. I'll tell you what he came over and said to us later on. But so he's promoted to a major general, and he remains in that position until he's assigned as Chief of Staff for the United Nations Command, U.S. Air Forces in Korea in '65, and he is promoted to a lieutenant. That's a 3-star general. He was promoted to major. That's 2 stars. Brigadier is 1 star. So he was promoted to lieutenant general, and he resumed command of the 13th Air Force. This is where I ran into him again, too. He assumes command over the 13th Air Force, which was in Clark Air Base, Republic of the Philippines in 1967. A lot of heavy stuff going on out there, going towards Vietnam. And when I was at Clark, I was TDY there. I saw his name. This is after I met him the first time. I saw his name plaque on a wall of the headquarters building. I went, wow, that's anyway. That's just neither here nor there. But anyway, there's so much more to General Davis. I could go on for a couple hours, and I had to just pick out some stuff and go over it. After his distinguished military career, he would go on to serve in government in several positions, including, unfortunately, the Assistant Secretary of Transportation for Environment, Safety, and Consumer Affairs, overseeing the development of the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. Okay, all right, so no one's perfect, man. Look, I'll take the 50. I'll take that. Maybe he needed it. It was only a day. Maybe he was tired or, needed a Snickers or something. But okay, the 55. It's one blemish out of his record. Give me a break. I looked that up. I went, oh no. Interesting note. I did read this while I was researching him. He served as Cleveland's public safety director under a Democrat. He was appointed by a Mayor Carl Stokes. I tend to remember that name, but Stokes was a Democrat, and he was appointed in February 1970, and he resigned in July of 1970, not feeling. This is a quote. Not feeling that Stokes was supporting him sufficiently and that enemies of law enforcement were receiving support from within the Stokes administration. Does that seem familiar? Democrats haven't changed, man. He also served in the Reagan administration as the Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation, focusing on security and safety, and definitely not the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. So maybe that tells you something. He stayed on there for quite a few years. Yeah, the 55-mile-an-hour thing, man. Oh well, what are you gonna do? He saluted and did his duty. Uh, I just want to go over some of his medals. I want to go over. Well, I'm going to go over all of his medals. Hold on, and I put them around here somewhere. Where are they? Damn medals. Here they are. These are. It's take a little bit to go through these. Okay, so this is a starting from the top. You got his wings. His wings is the United States Air Force Command Pilot wings. Then you have the Air Force Distinguished Service Medal with bronze oak leaf cluster. Oh, oof. Army Distinguished Service Medal, Silver Star, Legion of Merit with 2 bronze oak leaf clusters, Distinguished Flying Cross, Meritorious Service Medal, Air Force Commendation Medal with bronze oak leaf cluster, Army Commendation Medal with 2 bronze oak leaf clusters, Air Force Presidential Unit Citation. These aren't shabby medals. American Defense Service Medal, American Campaign Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 4 bronze campaign stars. Yikes. World War II Victory Medal, National Defense Service Medal with Service Star, Korean Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Air Force Longevity Service Award. Okay, that's a little. With silver and bronze oak leaf clusters. The French Croix de Grue with palm. The Philippine Legion of Honor. The Knight Grand Cross of the Order of the Crown of Thailand. Philippine Republic Presidential Unit Citation, United Nations Korean Medal, Republic of Korea War Service Medal, and the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal. He also has the awards of the Order of the Sword, Langley Gold Medal, and the Congressional Gold Medal, awarded to the Tuskegee Airmen in 2006. I think he had passed by that point. But that is a he's just an amazing guy, and what a history, what a life. I met him. I was a two-striper. I met him at an award ceremony for a bomb nav competition in California. I think it was in California. And we were under the wing of our KC-135, and he came strolling up in his general's uniform with 3 stars. And I'm a two-striper. I've been in the Air Force for like a year or something like that. So I was just sat there looking at him like, oh my God, here comes the general. The general's coming. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Let's shut my mouth. I did. I didn't really say much because I didn't know anything. What am I going to say? Yes, General. I have some issues that I'd like to take up with you. He came and talked to us, there was about 10 or 11 of us or so, and he just came over and talked. Wanted to, it's like a normal guy. He wanted to know how we liked the Air Force, what he could do to, if we could change things, what would they be? Just regular stuff. And he talked to us about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And then he gave us a little snappy salute. Man, we saluted right back. Let me tell you something. I did. I was like, oh, salute him with 2 hands, Um, I was a two-striper. I was quite impressed. And I didn't know who he was. And the guy who was the head, he was like, I think he was a tech sergeant. He was a crew chief. He was a lead crew chief. He told us who he was. And, later I read stuff about him, and it was just amazing. So I want to, bring this. He's just somebody that you should know. Just an amazing person. And, can you imagine if our kids, black or white, brown or yellow, it doesn't matter, were taught about people like 4-star General Benjamin O. Davis Jr. and his father? You think we'd be better off if we taught about people like that? I think we would. I think we'd be much better off. I think our nation would be better off. Anyway, happy February and happy Black History Month. I'm going to be highlighting a few more people throughout the month that I think should be highlighted. You know, uh, one of them is Dory Miller. Dory Miller is the guy you see in the movie Tora Tora Tora. He's a black guy. He's the chef or the cook, and he comes up and he pulls the guy off the dead guy off the anti-aircraft gun, tosses him aside, grabs the gun, and he shoots down like 5 or 6. The witnesses say 6 Japanese Zeros, and he goes on to fight in the Pacific. He unfortunately dies in the Pacific War, and they are going to they're going to make a name a aircraft carrier after Dory Miller. Man, I'll tell you, if my daughter is still in the Navy, I'd be so proud that she's serving on the Dory. Holy crap! Read about him. He's it's about time we stop naming aircraft carriers after presidents. I don't want to see another president's name. I don't care who it is on ships anymore. There's enough people, enough regular guys that they can name them after. Anyway, okay. Well, happy Black History Month. I will see you soon with another couple people I think you should know about. And again, when you have some time, look up Benjamin Davis, General Benjamin O. Davis Jr. Look him up, and look up his dad. That's crazy that there's 2 black officers in the entire United States Navy or Army. They're both named Benjamin O. Davis. I mean, imagine being so screwed up. Didn't anybody look at that and go, "Wow, that's screwed up, man"? No, because it was the 1930s and 40s. Anyway, I'm gonna end with this song, and this is to commemorate a great man. That's it. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.